Hi everyone, I'm Arun Malve and welcome back to Good Shoes. If you're enjoying this tutorial so far and learning something new, take a quick moment to like, share and subscribe to this channel and don't forget to hit the notification bell icon. In this video, we're going to cover Terraform project structure with environments and modules, and second with modern Terraform structure with workspace and centralized configuration, and also we'll be covering Terraform environment structure by account, region and workspace. Terraform folder structure. So if you're working with Terraform across multiple environments, say development, staging, and production, keeping your configuration clean, modular, and reusable is crucial. So in this video, we'll break down a professional folder structure that simplifies scaling and management. Ever opened the Terraform project and thought, did a tornado hit the folder structure? Don't worry, I've been there. In today's episode, we're diving into how to properly organize your Terraform project using environments and modules. Trust me, your future self will high-five you for this. So imagine you're working on the AWS and have to set up dev, staging, and production environments. You could just throw everything into one big file, which is main.tf file. Name it like final version of the version 2 update final real.tf file, something like that, and hope for the best. Or you could do it in the Terraform way, clean, structured, and actual reusable. So what we're going to do here is I've split our Terraform project into two key sections. One is environments and modules. This isn't just because we love folders, it's all about separating off concerns. Environments contain logic for each environment like dev, staging, production, but in my picture, you will only see like dev folder. You can also replicate the same as for staging and production, but with different variables. Modules contain reusable pieces like Lego blocks for your cloud. Alright, let's go inside the environments folder, and you typically find a folder with dev in that, and likely identical triplets with different personalities like staging and production. Same bones, different clothes. So let's move on to the dev folder. So let's begin inside. What's there? You will usually see different file structures like main.tf, variables.tf, provider.tf, output.tf, and dev.tfr file. What are these files? Like main.tf is the heart of all of it. The file defines the actual resources. For example, like EC2 instance, S3 buckets, VPC, you name it. If AWS were the Sims, the file builds your house. Variables.tf file. This one, like the menu, it lists all the configuration stuff, instance type, region, CIDR blocks. Think of it like a dating profile. Here's what I need, here's what I like, and here's what I won't tolerate. What's under the providers.tf file? Here's where we tell Terraform who we're working with, like AWS, Azure, GCP. This file set up credentials, regions, and authentication. It's like calling up AWS and say, yo, I'm about to deploy something, let's do it. An output.tf file. Once you create stuff, you want to reference it elsewhere. This file lets you output important values like VPC ID, bucket ARN, or the private IP of your favorite EC2 instance. Basically saying Terraform, here's what I built, go brag about it. Dev.tfvar file. Finally, the personalized touch. This file holds actual values for the variables specified to the dev environment. One smaller instance in dev, different tags pops it in here. It's like ordering a skinny vanilla latte and almond milk, but for your infrastructure. So now here is the magic. What you could do for the staging and the production folders are just clone the dev folder You copy the structure and just tweak the values in the .tfr files. That way, you are using the same logic, but the resources are different depending on the environment. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just swap the tires of different roads. What if I told you your Terraform code doesn't have to look like a spaghetti? Let me introduce you to the Terraform modules, your new best friend for keeping things clean, reusable, and way less of a DevOps nightmare. What is a Terraform module? Terraform module is just a folder that contains Terraform configuration files. But wait, it's not just any folder. It's a powerful unit of reuse that makes your code base looks like it went through Ivy League school. Think of it this way. If your main.tf file under the VPC folder is a lead actor, your modules are the supporting cast. They handle the gifty reusable logic behind the scene. You can call them over and over again like your favorite takeout orders. Why use modules? Because you don't want to copy paste VPC code into every environment like it in 1990s. Instead, define it once, store it in a module, and reuse it everywhere. Kind of like using one shampoo for your head, beard, and dog. Just kidding. Please don't do that. Let's move on to the VPC folder just under the modules. So it's like network architect of your cloud town inside the modules and then VPC folder. You will be using three important files here, which is main.tf, variables.tf, output.tf. What's under main.tf? This is where the magic happens. Define your VPC, subnet, routing tables, and internet gateway here in this file main.tf. The file builds the whole road network for your cloud infrastructure. Variables.tf. This file asks, what should I build? You define all the input parameters here, like CIDR blocks, subnet names, and whether the VPC should be public or private. Think of it like ordering your VPC burger with or without extra subnets. Output.tf. Once your VPC is built, this file shouts back the results. Hey, here your VPC ID, your subnet ID, and your routing table. You can use this output in other modules or just show off at DevOps parties. So the next section, which is below the VPC folder, which is data folder. So now let's talk about the data module. No, not your daily caffeine intake taker. This one manages data infrastructure like S3 buckets, DynamoDB tables, or even your cloud storage secrets. The main.tf, variables.tf, output.tf. The main.tf file creates the actual resources. For example, what's an S3 bucket with versioning and encryption? Boom. Write the logic here. It's your data architecture blueprint in this file. Variables.tf, this is your customization hub. Bucket names, lifecycle rules, access control, encryption settings, all go here, because who wants a bucket name test 123 in production? Do anybody like that? No. Output.tf. Once you build, you might need the bucket name, ARN, or even region. Output helps you pass these values to other parts of your Terraform code, like a relay button. So in this whole information of showcasing the end-to-end Terraform structure, the modules make your life easier, your code cleaner, and your future self less angry. Use main.tf for building, variables.tf for customizing, and output for sharing. Smash that button if you love clean infra code, and comment below with your favorite module horror stories. So in the old way, we have seen that each folder has main.tf, variables.tf, output.tf under the dev, under the environment folder. In the modern way, we're going to see some changes with the workspace and centralized configuration. So the next topic is modern Terraform structure with workspace and centralized configuration. This is what I'm going to follow, and there are a few best practices approach to organize Terraform code for scalable and maintainable infrastructure deployments. So you can use with the CI/CD pipelines. This structure is ideal for DevOps team or SRE teams managing multiple cloud environments such as development, staging, and production without duplicating folder hierarchies. On the top, you could see like development, staging, and production. These are not folders anymore. Instead, there are Terraform workspaces, which act like runtime context. You stay within the same Terraform configuration files. No need for dev folder or production folders or staging folders. A simple switch context using commands like Terraform workspace select dev. These commands ensure separation of state and variables for each environment without duplicating code. This setup is widely used in CI/CD pipelines like cloud automation and platform engineering workflows, where the infrastructure consistency, versioning, and reusability are key. It's clean, centralized, and scalable, and perfect for teams that need to manage infrastructure across multiple environments with minimal duplication and high control. So this structure modernizes Terraform workflow by combining the power of workspaces, modularity, and making your cloud deployments safer, smarter, and more efficient. Have you ever opened the Terraform repo and asked yourself, is this a folder structure or cry for help? Fear not, brave engineer, because today I'm walking you through the elegant, no-nonsense setup called Terraform environment structure by account, region, and workspace. The yellow color folder with name convention dev under the accounts section. So let's step on. Okay, so think of your cloud accounts like Netflix profiles. You got dev, QA, production, and that one test account nobody deletes. Each account gets into own folder like account dev, account production, account, staging. Why? Because you really don't want someone testing auto scaling groups in some other accounts where your CFO dashboard lives. Trust me, been there, budget will cry. The next layer, which is regions, okay, Terraform doesn't magically know where to drop your resources, so you tell it, put my S3 bucket in the US East 1 or in the US East 2 and EC2 instance in the US East 2 because latency is real and users are picky. In each account folder, create subfolders for regions. It's like organizing your suitcase with climate, beachwear in AP Southeast 1, snow boots in US West 2, something like that. So you're keeping it organized. In the next part, which is environments, it's in the green folder, okay? And inside each region, guess what? You get environments, dev, staging, production, like three siblings that look alike but behave very differently. Dev is messy, it breaks stuff. It's where your junior engineers deploys or development team deploys 37 times or 40 times a day. Staging is the middle child, quite predictable, kind of boring. And production, ho ho ho. Production is the one you don't touch without the third level approval or any PR which you create, and a sacrifice to the CI/CD gods. And the last part, which is the workspaces, which you see on the right side of the section. Now you might ask, like, wait, aren't workspace supposed to handle environments? Great question. My sharp DevOps engineers, workspace are Terraform's runtime contexts. You can use them instead of the folders to separate dev, staging, and production. But in this structure, on the right side where you see main.tf, modules, and you define the reuse of the modules and network, stage, and production, and terraform.tfvar files. It is separate environments with the workspace. This is what I'm talking about, the right side of the section of the image, which I'm displaying on the screen. But in this structure, Workspace can help you layer deployments within the environment, like having different pipelines per service tier or developer team. Use them for finer grained control instead of the folder hierarchy. Think of the workspace as virtual desk within your environment room. So what's inside the main.tf file? This one is the conductor. It calls your modules and glues everything together. Without this, your Terraform orchestration is just a bunch of instruments in the closet. What's below that in the main.tf file, which is like you have modules and you set up the modules, and you have network, stage, and production. So under that, you have terraform.tfr files, which is like dev.tfr files, staging.tfr files, production.tfr files. Think of these like presence loadouts for Call of Duty, but for Terraform. Each .tfr file has environment-specific configuration, different tags, instance sizes, or even naming convention. One configuration to deploy a Ferrari in production, a scooter in development environment. So with all this structure, because Terraform doesn't like surprises and either does your cloud build, with this setup, what you're going to achieve is you keep accounts isolated. You organize by geography. You isolate by environment. You keep modules reusable. Your team doesn't mutin within, they join your repository. So next time someone tells you Terraform is a mess, you say, not my repo. I use account, region, environment structure like a civilized cloud warrior. Smash the like button if you ever renamed any file with final plan.tf more than once. Comment your worst Terraform horror story and don't forget to subscribe, because next time we are diving into Terraform modules or how to stop repeating yourself and start reusing like a boss. Until then, keep it dry, keep it modular, and make your apply always succeed. This video helpful. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Good Shoes. Stay tuned for more tech tips and tutorials. See you in the next one.